Hi, and welcome to episode 67 of the Give Me a Crown Knitting, Spinning and Bits and Pieces podcast. My name's Nina, also known as Give Me a Crown across the internet, and today is Friday, the 31st of March 2017. It's lovely to have your company. I'm on the couch again this week. It was a bit of a chilly night here, and the house hasn't completely warmed up, so this side is a little bit warmer than my studio side, so I thought I'd rug up on the couch a little bit and podcast. This week I have no spinning, but I do have a bunch of knitting finished objects as well as a bit of crochet and also some works in progress. So to start with, my first finished object is my shawl. So this is the very well wrapped Quiet Day shawl by Minna Sorvela, if I can get it from around my neck. And I finished this up, I think, pretty soon after the last episode, and it's huge. So it's about 2 meters wide, so it's longer than my wingspan or my height. So I think it was 80 inches, I can't remember how many feet. And I knit this with some Miss Click Clack for these first two sections. There's some Knit Pick Stroll in the next one, and then some skein yarn top drawer sock at the bottom. I really love the size of this shawl, and it's definitely something that's going to keep my neck nice and warm as the temperatures keep dropping. And I love the way that the colours work together. I mentioned last time that I had my concerns about the lighter colour on the edge, but I think that it's worked out absolutely perfectly with the way that it all wraps together. So it's predominantly yellowish and grey shawl, but with a little pop of red on the top. I didn't end up blocking it with blocking wires. I just sort of laid it out. I washed it and laid it out on my drying mat. And so in the actual pattern, the edge is a little bit more wavy than what mine is currently looking. I have a feeling that due to the softness of the top drawer sock, I won't be able to get sort of the very pronounced scallop edge anyway, because the softness just springs the yarn back towards itself. But I think that it's absolutely perfect as it is. I'm happy with the way that it just has a gentle wave to it, and the softness of that top drawer sock is amazing. So it's going to be nice and warm and wonderful. So very happy with this and looking forward to giving it a lot of wear. I have also finished another object. So this is a beanie, and it doesn't have a name yet, but it was based on this Corridale beanie that I knit a while ago now, and I've been wearing it a bit, but for those who have watched before, they might remember that I didn't feel like the pattern was coming through enough on this beanie, and that was due to the darkness of the hand spun that I used. But you can see that there's sort of some diamond shapes going on there, but they're a lot more obvious in this gorgeous yarn. So this was knit with Miss Click Clack's Darling Road DK base in the Silver Bear colourway, and it's a DK weight superwash merino with 200 meters, 200 grams, and I used all except that. So I think I had 11 grams left over, so less than a skein went into the hat. And I did some photography this morning to try to get some pictures of this, and I might need to take a few more this afternoon depending on how they turned out, but it's hopefully going to be that first pattern on Ravelry that I publish. So the intention would be, because it will be my first, that it's free to start with, and we'll see how it goes. So it has these diamonds and some lines and some more diamonds. It's got a slight slouch if it's visible there. And it has a folded brim, so it has the sort of a double thickness of brim, which keeps your ears nice and toasty. I loved reworking this. I made only a couple of minor modifications from my previous version, and it was just, I found it a really fun knit. So I've done a chart for it, but I'm writing up the long form version so that for people who don't like charts, they don't have to follow a chart. It's knit from the top down, and hopefully people enjoy it once I get it done. So with the photos done, I just need to polish up the pattern information, and hopefully I'll have it ready in the next week or so, and then maybe somebody out there who has some nice squishy DK yarn would love to knit it. And I really like it. It's just a little bit different, and it's definitely another one of those things that I'm going to be wearing a lot of, because this Corridale version has got a lot of wear last winter. It's a pretty lightweight. I think this is lighter than this one, and but it was still a DK weight yarn, but it's a somehow lighter construction. And yeah, I think I have just increased the length of the folded brim, and but yep, it definitely kept my noggin warm last winter. I have also been working on something that I've left over there, so I'll be back. So I also decided to try my hand at some freeform crochet, and I don't know why this turned up on my 2017 yarn goals list, but I just have a bit of a fascination with yarn art, and it's something that I want to toy around with and experiment with, and freeform crochet just sort of seems to fit the bill. That I know how to crochet, and I'm not scared of sort of just tinkering and having fun with something. So I have no idea what this is. I just went to my yarn scraps and started off, I can't remember if it was the orange or the yellow, and started making various shapes. And at first it was very intimidating. I was kind of stuck trying to figure out which way I should go, and feeling like perhaps there was some method to it all, but then I just started randomly changing colors and changing hook sizes, and came up with this. It became very relaxing after a while, just sort of randomly meandering with my crochet hook, and I have no idea what this will be. I'm sort of just thinking it could lay on a table and be kind of pretty. I'm not sure. But having done that, I then had an idea for an actual little piece. So this is a kind of slightly wonky crochet heart. So I've used some freeform crochet through the middle there, and then given it a bit of a border. So what I want to do with this is I will probably give it a bit of a soak and just pin it out a little bit, just so that it keeps its shape, and then I might pop that onto a little bit of canvas just to have a little love heart on the wall, or I might give it as a gift to somebody. But having a little bit of purpose to the shape that I was creating helped make it a little bit easier to sort of make progress. It's possibly not the prettiest thing either, but it was fun to try, and I'm definitely going to be playing around with this sort of stuff a little bit more. But I think having an idea of what I'm trying to achieve before I start on it is probably a better idea. So I'll actually come up with something useful. As for works in progress, I still have a pair of socks on the go, which I'm working on a design for. And I have also been working on my sock yarn blanket. So I decided to start a new row, and I think that was part of the reason why I was not adding squares onto my blanket, is because I had to start a new row, and I could have just stopped where it was and called it a day, but starting a new row means I'm committing to knitting a bunch of squares. So on here I have some Miss Click Clack and Miss Click Clack that I used in my Quiet Day shawl, and then I also have one of the Ren and Ollie minis that I won recently has gone in there. So the plan is to put another Ren and Ollie here and then continue along. And I'm trying not to have two solid colours next to each other, so that's why I'm sort of alternating where things go. But it's sort of, I've forgotten how many squares there are. But there's a fair few. And I think I'm just going to do 2 or 3 more rows and then figure out a border for it, because it's wide enough to cover me, and then so it'll be a single person blanket, and then if I put a border on it, it'll add another inch on either side, and I think that will be okay. So I have to figure out what kind of border to put onto it, what kind of color. I'm thinking maybe a light grey. If you have suggestions on what colours would work when there's so many wild colours in there, then I'd love to know. And I'm not sure whether I will knit it or whether I will crochet the border. A crochet border would be much easier to put on than a knitted one, because I've got no idea how I would do a knitted one, whether I have to pick up all the stitches around and then knit around, or whether I do something else. Haven't looked into it obviously, but I'm looking forward to getting this one done. And I actually pulled out my granny triangle shawl yesterday because it was getting cold, and wrapped myself in that. And I'm kind of thinking that maybe what I want to do next is to do a scrappy granny triangle. So I love this one, but it could be fun to have a slightly wild one out of all the scraps that I've got. So maybe happening soon. But I think I need to just get this one finished first, and then I'll let myself loose on it, because otherwise I might not get this blanket done. I have also been working on my Free Spirit pullover. So last time I was working on the ribbing, I think, on the body, so I finished that up, and then I added in a neckband, and I'm working on the first sleeve. So I love the way that the stripes go. I know I've mentioned that before, but I just love the way that the stripes are matching up on the body and on the sleeves. So it's a nice detail. The ribbing had a suggestion of just binding off in ribbing or doing a tubular bind off, and it's been a while since I've done a tubular bind off, so I just sort of followed the pattern as it was written, and I sort of realized after I started it that it was a different style of tubular bind off. The ones that I've done before have setup rows so that you sort of create a bit of a U shape on the hem, but this one didn't have any setup rows, and you just sort of basically did a Kitchener, and that's a huge number of stitches to Kitchener off. So I was very happy to be watching podcasts while I did that, because it took several sittings and a lot of patience to do that. But when I first started doing the bind off, I wasn't really thinking, and chopped my yarn and added in the next colour to start doing the Kitchener, and it just didn't look very good. So I realised that if you are doing stripes on ribbing and a bind off, then it's probably a good idea to do the bind off or Kitchener in the same colour as your last row. So that was a little bit of a lesson learnt the hard way, because then I ended up having to do all sorts of stuff. But it all worked out, and then so when I realized that I had to do the same thing on the neckband, I was prepared and watched a few more podcasts and got through that. I'm not a big fan of stripes in ribbing, and having done this, I'm still not. So I think if I was to knit this again, I would just use a solid colour for the ribbing. I think it would look a little bit. I think it might lose some of the impact of this pullover by doing that, but I think I would prefer the way that it looks up close. But then again, no one's going to be staring quite so up close at my ribbing. So do I want to knit for myself or for others? And I think it's okay. Yeah, I don't know. I'm probably not going to knit another one of these anytime soon. I do love the way that it's coming up, but I think I'm getting my fill of stripes at the moment. I've been going through a bit of a stripy phase, and I have to say that having alternated 5 skeins of yarn and done all the juggling and everything for this much already, I think I've had enough. So I'm definitely looking forward to some other kinds of projects in the near future. That's pretty much it on the knitting front. I am pondering some future projects, including a hot water bottle cover, because I pulled out my hot water bottle yesterday and had a bit of a look at it, and the cover is very pilly that I made last year, so I think I need to make a new one, and I'm thinking about how I can construct it in a better way so that it's easy to put the hot water bottle in and out. And I'm thinking about a couple of acquisitions. I'm still thinking about some yarn for a skirt and trying to figure out the right kind of wool to use for it. But hopefully before the next episode, I'll get a couple of acquisitions for some projects that I can show you. I've had no exciting adventures recently, but hopefully I'll have some soon. It's been very quiet. Thankfully, things are calming down and I'm feeling a lot more relaxed than what I had been, and I'm keeping busy with sewing up new bags for the Give Me a Crown Etsy shop, so they're popping up there regularly, and just sort of getting all sorts of other things organized and done, and just feeling like I'm on top of things again, which is a good feeling to have. My little gardening progress, there's not much to talk about with that at the moment. I have some seedlings growing, but I have a feeling that birds are coming to pinch them, so I don't know. I'm not a very good gardener, it seems, but my zucchinis have continued growing, so I've been harvesting zucchinis a couple of times a week for a long time now, which is a lot of fun. But I'm definitely going to keep it in mind as to how big a zucchini plant grows when I next attempt to plant some, because it's huge. And the birds have started returning to the garden. So over summer, there weren't too many birds around. You'd sort of spot the occasional parrot here and there, but I think that there was enough food out there for them to go off and go elsewhere. But they have been returning, so it's interesting to see them hopping up and down on the stumps where I used to feed them. And so I've put some food out again for them, and I'll hopefully get some footage of them again before too long. But the weather is cooling down. I'm definitely thinking lots of warm and woolly thoughts, and thinking about all the wool that I can wrap myself in to stay warm. So that's pretty much it. I hope that you're well, and I'll try to have some kind of fun adventure in before the next episode so that I can share something interesting with you. But hopefully you found some of the knitting chatter interesting. We have a Ravelry group, which you can find by searching for Give Me a Crown in the groups tab on Ravelry. So there's always an episode thread there if you want to make any comments or questions. And otherwise you can comment on YouTube or find me on Instagram or what have you. So always happy to hear back from people who are out there watching me blather on. So stay well, keep knitting, and I'll see you soon.